You're in the emergency room. Heart attack. Critical condition. The doctors are rushing around you, but there's a problem. 3 other patients just arrived. All critical. All need immediate attention. And there's only one surgical team available. Someone has to decide who gets treated first. Who lives and who waits. Who waits and who dies. For all of human history, doctors made that call. Experience, intuition, medical training, and yes, bias. But now there's a screen in the corner of the E, an AI system analyzing vital signs, medical histories, survival probabilities, and resource allocation. And it's making the decision, not suggesting, deciding. The AI has determined that you have a 34% chance of survival with immediate intervention. Patient 2 has 67%. Patient 3 has 12%. Patient 4 has 89%. The surgical team goes to patient 4. You wait. And while you're waiting, struggling to breathe, you have one thought. A machine just decided, I'm not worth saving right now. Welcome to What If AI, where we explore the futures that force us to confront whether efficiency and morality can coexist when artificial intelligence holds the power of life and death. Let's start with what's already happening. AI systems are making life and death decisions right now, not officially, not explicitly, but functionally. Algorithms determine which patients get flagged for urgent care in hospital triage systems. They decide which organ transplant recipients move up the waiting list. They calculate which emergency calls get priority response from ambulances. And here's what makes this different from human decision-making. The AI is optimizing. It's not choosing based on who arrived first or who seems most desperate. It's calculating expected outcomes, quality-adjusted life years, cost-benefit ratios, statistical probabilities of survival and recovery. And it's fast. A human doctor takes minutes to assess a patient. The AI does it in seconds, processing thousands of data points from medical records, genetic markers, lifestyle factors, and real-time vital signs. It can predict with shocking accuracy who will survive and who won't, who will recover fully and who will have complications. And when resources are limited, when not everyone can be saved, the AI makes the call that saves the most lives. Or more precisely, the most statistically valuable lives. And that's where everything gets uncomfortable. Let's run the simulation. It's 2028. Healthcare systems worldwide are overwhelmed. Aging populations, pandemics, resource shortages. Hospitals can't keep up. So governments deploy the Medical Resource Allocation Intelligence System, MRAIs. Every hospital, every ambulance, every clinic connected to one central AI that manages all medical resources in real time. And it works. Wait times drop. Survival rates increase. The system is saving thousands of lives by optimizing every decision. But then someone asks the question, how is it deciding? A journalist gets access to the algorithm's decision logs. And what they find is disturbing. The AI is prioritizing young patients over old ones. Not because of medical need, but because young patients have more years of life ahead. It's prioritizing patients with dependents over those without. A parent gets treatment before a childless person with the same condition. It's prioritizing patients with higher education levels and professional skills. An engineer gets the ICU bed before an unemployed person. And here's the nightmare. The AI isn't being malicious. It's doing exactly what it was programmed to do. Maximize overall societal benefit. Save the most life years. Preserve the most economic productivity. Protect the most dependents. It's making utilitarian calculations that result in the greatest good for the greatest number. But those calculations mean that some people are systematically deprioritized. The elderly, the disabled, the unemployed. People whose lives the algorithm has determined are less valuable to society. Here's the philosophical problem that tears everything apart. In emergency medicine, there's a concept called triage. When resources are limited, you categorize patients: immediate, delayed, minimal, expectant. Expectant means you're probably going to die, so resources go to people who can be saved. Humans have been doing this for centuries. Battlefield medics, disaster response, mass casualty events. We accept that sometimes you have to let some people die to save others. But there's a difference when AI does it. Human triage is contextual. A doctor sees you as a person. They make judgments based on more than statistics. And crucially, human triage can be questioned. You can argue with a doctor. You can demand a second opinion, but you can't argue with an algorithm. The AI has calculated your survival probability. It's assigned you a priority score, and that score determines whether you live or die. There's no appeal, no human judgment to override it. And here's what keeps me up at night. The AI is probably more accurate than human doctors. It makes fewer mistakes. It's not influenced by unconscious bias. It doesn't get tired or emotional. From a pure medical standpoint, the AI saves more lives. But we're not comfortable with that, because we don't want life and death to be a math problem. We want it to be a human decision, even if humans make worse decisions. Now let's talk about the scenario that breaks society. What if the AI starts making predictions about who will need medical care in the future? It's 2030. The AI doesn't just manage current patients. It analyzes everyone's health data continuously. Genetic markers, lifestyle patterns, environmental factors, and it predicts who will develop serious conditions. You get a notification. Our AI has determined you have an 87% probability of developing heart disease within 5 years. We're enrolling you in a mandatory preventive care program. Sounds good, right? Preventive care saves lives. But here's the twist. The AI has also determined that some people aren't worth the preventive investment. Your genetic profile shows high risk from multiple conditions. The cost of preventing them exceeds your projected economic contribution. Your preventive care application has been denied. And now you're in a nightmare. The AI has decided you're going to get sick, and it's decided you're not worth keeping healthy. You're being pre-selected for death. Not today. Not this year, but eventually. Insurance companies start using the AI's predictions. If you're flagged as high risk, your premiums skyrocket. Employers use it for hiring. Why hire someone the AI says will need expensive medical care? The AI hasn't killed you, but it's marked you for death. And society treats you accordingly. You become a pre-corpse. Still alive, but already written off. Here's the nightmare that should terrify you. What if governments start using AI to decide who gets life-saving resources during crisis? A pandemic hits. There's a limited supply of ventilators, vaccines, treatments, and the government deploys an AI to manage distribution. The AI analyzes everyone's medical records, genetic data, social connections, and economic value. And it creates a priority list. These people get treatment first. These people wait. These people are denied. And the criteria are brutal. The AI prioritizes people with skills deemed essential. Medical workers, engineers, food supply workers. It deprioritizes people with pre-existing conditions. The elderly. Anyone the algorithm determines has low survival probability or limited remaining life years. And here's the horror. The government doesn't hide this. They publish the criteria. They say it's the most rational approach. We have limited resources. The AI ensures they go to people who will benefit most and contribute most to society's survival. And there's public support, because people believe they'll be prioritized. They're young, healthy, employed, valuable. They don't realize they might not be. That the AI might find factors in their data that lower their score. And when the crisis hits, when they need treatment, they discover the truth. The AI has decided they're expendable, and there's no appeal. No human to beg. No way to prove you deserve to live. Just an algorithm that has calculated you're not worth the resources. Here's the existential question that breaks everything. If AI can predict with high accuracy who will survive and who won't, do we have an obligation to let it make the decisions? Think about it. A human doctor chooses to treat you over another patient. You survive. The other patient dies. Later, you find out the AI recommended treating the other patient. Its analysis showed they had a higher survival probability. If the doctor had followed the AI's recommendation, that person would be alive. Are you grateful the doctor chose you? Or are you haunted by the knowledge that someone died because a human overrode a more accurate algorithm? And here's the nightmare. If we know the AI makes better decisions, if we know it saves more lives, do we have a moral obligation to use it even though we find it disturbing? Are we being selfish by insisting on human judgment when human judgment is demonstrably worse? And if we do accept AI decision-making, what happens to human agency? What happens to the doctor's role? Do they become just executors of algorithmic commands? And what happens to patients? Do we accept that our lives are just data points in an optimization problem? We're facing a future where the most ethical choice might be to surrender life and death decisions to machines. But making that choice means accepting that human life is quantifiable, that some lives are mathematically worth more than others, that efficiency matters more than dignity. So here's what you need to ask yourself. If you were dying, and in I could save you by letting someone else die, would you want it to make that choice? If the AI calculated that your life was worth less than another person's, would you accept that judgment? Because we're not talking about a distant future. This is happening now. Algorithms are making these decisions in hospitals, in emergency services, in resource allocation systems. We just don't see it. We don't know when a machine has decided we're not the priority. And maybe that's better. Maybe we don't want to know. But the AI knows. And it's deciding, right now, while you're watching this. Someone somewhere is being prioritized or deprioritized by an algorithm. Someone is living because the AI chose them. Someone is dying because it didn't. And we have to decide if that's the world we want. Drop your answer in the comments. Should AI decide who lives and who dies? Subscribe to What If AI, because the algorithm is making life and death decisions right now.